The difficulty is when we've got a conflict that involves, as the aggressors, one member of the permanent of the Security Council, the permanent member of the Security Council of the United Nations, and you've got at least three other members of the Security Council supplying weapons to counter that. It's very easy, whenever you're looking at things from an academic perspective or a political perspective, to spin it as the Third World War. And it all depends on how you define war. You could argue that for many, many years, we have been at war with initially the Soviet Union and then Russia in various guises. And that was the Cold War, the Third World War, was what Russia's doing and stirred in support in Afghanistan, and then with Bashar al-Assad in Syria, and then what they've done in Georgia and the support we've given. Has that all been elements of the Third World War? I'd argue we've probably been at a level of conflict that is below the threshold of what you describe as war. Ever since the end of the Second World War, we haven't come out of it yet. But is there, the more important question here, is there the potential for this to escalate? Well, we've got a nuclear power facing up against, three other nuclear powers facing up against NATO. We've got a nuclear power who has illegally invaded another sovereign country and has actually physically threatened the use of nuclear weapons. You can't sit back and ignore that fact, and you have to look at things and start to be prepared to deal with it. And I personally can see scenarios where Putin would get to a point where he could potentially consider the use of a small tactical nuclear device as something that would allow him to wrestle the initiative back. He's lost the initiative so far in everything that he's done, and that's dangerous.